Hello and welcome everybody to Let's Talk Automotive. We are here in Ducati Centurion with Braam Smit, this beautiful Panigale limited edition, and we are here to talk about Ducati's impact in the market and what they want to do over the next 6 months. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity, my friend.
Good to see you. I know we've had a lot of discussions with a lot of people in the industry to say, Braam, why did you move from BMW? So please, everybody's been asking.
Back in 2012, something happened that was fairly significant to me and that made me sit up and take notice. At first, I just took notice and I monitored the situation, but I saw that Ducati changed hands to the Volkswagen group. To be more specifically, Ducati is owned by Lamborghini. Lamborghini in turn is owned by Audi, and then Audi obviously is owned by Volkswagen. So besides the major cash injection, it was also an automotive group or body that knew how this worked. And I started looking with interest to see whether there's going to be any changes I want to see in Ducati as a product. Not as a brand, but as a product. And what I started seeing was that Ducati, the build quality took leaps and bounds. The reliability took leaps and bounds. The technology, Ducati was in a situation where, a very difficult situation to retain what you are. Ducati has never had an identity crisis. Never. To retain who you are, but to usher in technological advancements and a certain level of build quality, reliability, to make Ducati compete head-on with just about anything.
Yeah, I think we've had some interesting time changes with what you mentioned with the shifts with Ducati, the perfection, the technology, let's not say German influence, but when BMW came on the scene with the RR, a lot of what was biking shifted in the superbike industry. And I think that from a branding point of view, the interesting choice of what we've got here really opens up the market. I mean, it's a sole distributor, sole ownership. It's a brand which has its own branding gear, exactly like some of the other manufacturers do. I mean, your biggest competitor obviously is BMW.
Yes.
The other brands don't carry as much support, and that brings me to my next question. Ducati, way back, I owned one, dry clutch, I love the sound, but it never could manage a trip to Durban.
Yes.
What's changed now from Ducati's point of view? Servicing, warranties, how do they back up their prospective clients?
And that's a very, very relevant question there. Because the important thing to me was, first of all, to see. When I rode my first modern Ducati, it was the V4S Panigale, and it just blew me away. And that's when I decided to do deeper investigation into whether I could sell and affiliate myself to a product like Ducati. Because 20 years ago, I couldn't. Quite honestly, I couldn't. I would affiliate myself with no other brand than BMW 20 years ago. But things have changed. And that being said about the brand, secondly, when Mr. Jos Matthijssen took the brand over roughly a year ago, that got my attention as well, because Jos has been a BMW client of mine for close on 15 years. Now, we haven't worked it out yet, but Jos probably bought between 15 and 25 BMW motorcycles brand new from me in that time. So I know how Jos operates, and I know his passion, and I know how he can make things work, and I know how well he works with processes, and he's a businessman through and through. It's his calling in life. And that to me was very important, because now I saw a brand that I could affiliate myself with out of an attribute point of view, and I saw an individual that I knew and trusted with my life that has now taken the helm. And we are ready to take it certainly to the next level. I know that sounds like a cliche, but all our processes and everything is in place to make, and I'm going to say this on TV, to make Ducati the brand of the decade in South Africa.
Yeah, well done on that thought. I think you've got an interesting task ahead. I think the product speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Also from an economic point of view, pricing structures. How do you see Ducati comparing with your other competitors? We won't mention specific brands,
Okay.
but in general, how do you see it coming in as the general manager? Do you see the V4S competing with the RR from a pricing point of view? Do you see it competing with the new Honda? Your multi-stradas against the XRs. How do you see the pricing structures? Do you see that as an appeal methodology for people going forward? How do you see this unpacking over the next few months?
It all boils down to a bottom line. What kind of bang can I get for my buck? And the interesting thing is, we all sit with a very similar challenge. European and Japanese manufacturers, we sit with a very similar challenge, which is what? The devaluation of our own currency. So where we're not competing against the US dollar, like in the Japanese brands, we are competing with the euro. And as we speak now, I haven't checked it this morning, but we're roughly on 20 rands to the euro. It makes for very interesting negotiations when it comes time to negotiate prices with the factories. And currently, I'm glad to say, and I posted that on my personal Facebook page this morning, I'm glad to say Ducati's pricing is extremely relevant. And like you say, without going into minor detail, it's worth checking it out and it's worth doing the research. That's just how much I'm going to say. As Mr. Matthijssen has done another thing in the fact that we could really negotiate with the Italian factory to make sure that our pricing remains relevant and competitive.
So with the shift in the economy at the moment, your target audience, are you focusing on groups of individuals? Are you focusing on lifestyle? Are you focusing on women? Are you focusing on gear? Because Ducati's got some amazing fashion. I mean, that's some very specific stuff that we can look at briefly as to what is on offering here. I know there's stuff still being imported. I still can't find a size 12 for me, so please, Braam, sort that out. Yeah, anyway, we digress. So I think from that point of view, how do you see where is your target focus going to be over the next couple of months?
I'm going to give the political answer in telling you this, that probably the nicest thing for me being affiliated to this brand is the extremely strong brand identity that Ducati has managed over the years. And like the Scrambler range, for instance, answering your question that way, the Scrambler range came from the 70s. It's not a new thing that we thought about 5 years ago, you know, what we can probably call them the modern classics or the heritage. Every manufacturer has a different name for them. We simply call it Scrambler Ducati. That is certainly a segment of growth. And funny enough, with the heritage type motorcycles, or call it the classics for lack of a better word, they draw the younger crowd. You would think that old daddy comes and he buys a Ducati Scrambler. It's not true. They draw the younger brand. And who do we need most in the industry at large? We need to get the young consumer interested again. So Scrambler is extremely important for us. We will definitely, in South Africa, up the profile of our multi-strada enduro as well, the adventure touring segment, which is currently very strong in South Africa. And then we have a few motorcycles that sell themselves because they are just unequaled in this market. And I'm referring straight out to the V4 range, the V4S, the V4 Street Fighter. When you ride one of those motorcycles, it just blows your mind. It is like no other superbike out there. And then we also already have very strong involvement in the Monocle series, the Battle of the Twins. So you already see quite a few Ducati race bikes.
Yeah,
and both yours and myself are planning to race again as soon as COVID is over.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you. And by the way, we have kept our social distance because my arms are pretty long.
He's got a 2-meter arm.
Yeah, just in case anybody's wondering about our lack of masks. We will be back with this segment. We're going to start involving ourselves. We're going to do the road tests on the bikes. We'll get Braam's expertise involved as we test, we review, we'll unpack the various offerings. But thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Let's Talk Automotive. Thank you, Braam. And we shall see you soon.